Hello, thanks for tuning in. It's Stuart here, classical record collector, and you've obviously seen the title on my video. If you took part in the A-B comparison video that I did recently, thank you very much for that. I've counted in all the votes, and you've obviously seen the title that my humble Rega has absolutely trounced the 20K. Well, I'm assuming that it's a very expensive turntable, 45 RPM audiophile. His turntable, very good channel that is. I really enjoy his enthusiasm for music, and I'm absolutely amazed at his record collection and all his equipment. I'll be talking about that in a minute. First of all, though, let me just say that I've not really had much of a good time in charity shops recently. But I went to two charity shops in a nearby town that I wasn't aware of. I only found out about them because somebody that I know is moving house and she had to get rid of some stuff. And by that means, I happened to find these charity shops, two charity shops, Age Concern, and the other one is like a sort of hospice charity shop. And I went in a few days ago. They both had plenty of records. The hospice shop had nothing I was interested in, and then I went into Age Concern. They had a big box like that, and I went through them, nothing. Oh dear, this is a waste of time. Oh dear. And the very last record, the very last record made me smile, and it's this. There we are, The Police, Regatta de Blanc, and I was delighted to see that. I haven't got it. I don't know that many Police songs. I only really know Walking on the Moon, Message in a Bottle, Roxanne, of course, maybe one or two others. And, you know, I was really happy to see this. The jacket looked like it's in good condition. And I thought, this is bound to have been hammered because the Police are just such a good group. And I thought that this has probably been played hundreds of times. Lo and behold, I got it out. And it's in absolutely superb condition. Yep, I paid £2 for that, and I came away happy. It only takes one good record, and you know I can come away feeling cheerful. I got it back to my place, put it on, and I started on the side Walking on the Moon. And honestly, it's so good that I just played both sides straight away. First side, second side. A lot of these songs I don't know. You know, it's such kind of, how can I say, you know, sort of rhythmic and sort of racy music that makes you want to get up and start moving. It's just got an amazing kind of, you know, a lot of these songs have got really amazing bass line and, you know, the beat and everything. And there's one in particular that I like called Death Wish, which on the face of it is about a man who's in a car and, you know, he's pushing the speed limit. I take that as a kind of metaphor for life. The way, you know, somebody's living their life. So yeah, really pleased with that record, and I'm probably going to try and get the other Police albums as well. Really enjoy that. I remember back in the 70s when Walking on the Moon and Message in a Bottle came out, the Police were, you know, so popular. Okay, so moving on then. Yeah, so this comparison that I set up, yeah, I've got the results here. I've just done a sort of, I've just sort of made two columns. I went through the comments and I've put A and B down, and I've just put a mark down for each, you know, what the preference was. The thing is, some people said, well, I'm guessing that like B is the expensive turntable. So I took that to mean that they think that B sounds better than A. So that's how I've counted it. And some people said, oh, I think that the Rega, you know, A is the Rega, and B sounds so much better. So I took it to mean that people expect that a 20K turntable naturally is going to sound better than a £500 turntable. That's how I've counted in the votes. And yeah, it came out 37 for the Rega and 7 for, I'm not too sure which turntable that is, that 45 RPM audiophile has got there, but he picked up seven votes. Now, how to account for this? First of all, I admit that the ideal situation is to have the same amplifier, same tone arm, same cartridge, just different record players, same listening room, and you could just sort of somehow switch between the two systems. You're sitting there, you've got a record on, and you could just switch between the two systems, or somehow, a blind test along those lines. Yeah, of course I would want to do that. I mean, of course. I mean, if I had hundreds of thousands of pounds and I could persuade Mr. 45 RPM audiophile for me to come over and bring my Rega, of course I would like to set up that test and do it, but it's not really feasible. I haven't got that money to persuade him to do such a test. Not that I think he would be interested at all. And I just thought it would be interesting to do within the limits of what's possible and reasonable, because obviously you can still set up sort of scientific conditions, and you can still try and do your best within the constraints of what is actually available to you. And in this case, my channel and YouTube and the technology. And there have been quite a few issues raised in the comments, which I sort of agree with every single one of them, because I admit that. Okay, so the way I did it, obviously I used a piece of software which is used for capturing videos and audio on screen. It sort of captures what's on the screen and it captures the audio. So I'm converting his already converted audio, so it's already been reduced in quality by YouTube, and then I'm converting it into my system, so that's another degradation. Yeah, I absolutely get that. And then once I'd done that, of course, I was then exporting it back out. Once I'd edited it, I was then exporting it back out to YouTube, where it's degraded yet again. Yeah, absolutely. Of course that is the case. As for my music, my sample, the way that I prepared it is that I recorded the record. I've got a Cambridge audio amplifier, which, let's face it, is a budget amplifier. The Cambridge Audio Topaz with a phono stage. And I've had that for a few years. I used to have a Croft pre-power valve combination, when I was sort of more seriously into sort of being an audiophile, and I was really happy with that. I got into a bit of a financial mess at some point, and I had to sell all my hi-fi equipment, including the Croft and everything else, frankly. So I'm sort of starting again. I bought the Cambridge Audio for a couple of £100, I think, from Richer Sounds or somewhere like that, and I found it to be quite a capable sort of no frills amplifier, which does a fair job for the money. And yeah, so it's a budget amplifier, and I made things worse, didn't I, by recording from the headphone socket. Somebody told me that the headphone socket has got its own little kind of amplification stage, which is nowhere near the quality, which is not the same quality as the phono stage. So whatever his recording lost in fidelity, because I sort of put it through a couple of steps, I think that the way that I've recorded from my system probably didn't do my Rega any favors by recording through the headphone socket into the computer. I used Audacity, of course, and I then exported from Audacity in MP3 format, and then I imported it into my video editing software along with Mr. 45 RPM Audiophile's audio as well. Put them alongside each other, did my best to equalize the volume. Some people have said that B, which is my Rega, B is sounding a bit louder. Yeah, that's possible, and maybe that's why. Maybe because it's slightly louder, people are interpreting that as it's sounding better. It's possible. So I failed a bit there. I should have made absolutely certain that They're both exactly the same volume. I mean, I didn't adjust the volume on his because his was already loud enough, but mine wasn't. I should have turned the volume control up a little bit more when I recorded it, but I didn't. So mine was like half the volume of his. I had to boost the volume to try and get it near, and I've probably gone a little bit over. So yeah, B probably sounds a little bit louder, and maybe people have listened to that and think, oh, that sounds punchy, that sounds better, there's more clarity just because it's louder, and so they voted for mine. That's possible. That's a weakness in what I've done. That's a possibility, yeah. Although only one or two people mentioned that it sounds louder. I think they're fairly close in volume level, actually. I also noticed that another thing that might have biased people is that early on when I uploaded this video, several people came out in favor of B straight away. Now, if you would think that the second track in the comparison, you've got two clips, A and B. A you hear first, B you hear second. Maybe having B as the second clip actually favored it because people hear that and that's what's in their memory. Think, oh yeah, that sounds better. Maybe because it was the second track, that sort of gave it some advantage. So more people early on voted for it. Others may have jumped on the bandwagon. I don't know. This is a possibility. This is the problem with this kind of test. I mean, how do you do the test with you're asking people to put comments on, and how can you do it so they're not influenced by what other people are saying? So very quickly, a few people came out in favor of B, and lo and behold, that kind of snowballed. And there were only very few people coming out and saying, oh, well, actually, A sounds better. You know, A sounds better to me. So I'm looking for reasons, really, because I've got absolutely no doubt at all that Mr. 45 RPM Audiophile's record player sounds better than mine. I mean, I've got no doubt at all that that is the case, and that if I was fortunate enough to visit him and sit and listen to his system, you know, I've got absolutely no doubt with all the amplification that he's got there. I don't know, but he's probably got a £50,000 system, and I've got a £1,000 system. I've got no doubt that, you know, because I've heard high-end turntables. I mean, I knew Tom Fletcher at Nottingham Analog, and he had, I think, his reference turntable that was like, how much was that in those days in the 90s? I don't know. It was his top turntable was about £7,000 or £8,000, very heavy platter, very high mass platter, and you know, I was really impressed, and it was much better than what I had. So I know what high-end equipment sounds like, and I know that it's going to sound a lot better than my Rega, and yet we've done this test and we've got this result. Somehow we've got to account for it, and yeah, so I'm looking for reasons. Yeah, the Rega came second. Maybe that's a reason. People came out in favor of the Rega early on. Maybe it started snowballing. There was a sort of bandwagon effect. So there are all these possible reasons. Also, maybe the way that I've handled his, maybe the way I've downloaded, there was an extra step in degradation, and yeah, so I'm just trying to work out. But the reason that I did the test is because when I listened to his video and he played Ultravox Vienna on his system, and I listened to it, and then actually I got my Vienna out and I listened to mine as well. I thought, actually, I think mine compares quite well with his. I think that I know I'm listening to his through an MP3, MP3 quality, of course, but still the source of that MP3 quality is a very, very high-end audio. So one would expect, it's like, rubbish in, rubbish out, high quality in, high quality out. It's like if I made an MP3 of a transistor radio playing Vienna, sort of mono AM. I mean, the difference would be obvious, wouldn't it? I mean, there would be absolutely no mistaking that, and even a fairly cheap turntable. So yeah, so maybe you guys can help me understand this result, why so many people went for my Rega said that my Rega sounded better, or they expressed a preference for clip B. Clip B is the Rega, clip A is Mr. 45 RPM Audiophile's very expensive looking turntable. Yeah, so I thought it was very interesting, especially that a lot of people that came out in favor of A were making comments about A, what they liked about it, more clarity, various comments, more sort of sophisticated sound, and people were making exactly the same comments about B. So this is something I found really interesting, that people were giving exactly the same reasons for A as people who favored B were giving the same reasons as well. It just shows how subjective, when we listen to music, but it also maybe reflects what people are listening on. Not everybody is listening on the same thing. Some people might be listening through a soundbar. Some might be listening through just a laptop speaker. Some might be channeling it into a hi-fi system. And so we've got more variables there, which might skew the result, maybe in favor of clip B. I don't know. So yeah, I suppose I feel kind of vindicated that I spent my money wisely, because I think that even if you take into account all of those factors, and that somehow I've set up the test and weighted it in favor of the Rega. Let's say that I've done that unconsciously, that, yeah, I want my Rega to sound better than his turntable. I want it to be a giant killing turntable, because after all, it's my, it's my sort of, I don't know, pride and joy or something like that. At my age, that is going to be my pride and joy, I can assure you, compared with anything else that I've got. And I'm not likely to be buying another record player really in the near future. I need to upgrade the stylus. I think that would add a level of sort of finesse that is probably lacking a bit. And I'm quite sort of happy with it otherwise. Yeah, so I'll be interested to hear your comments. I'm probably going to leave the comments open on that other video so that people can continue. Actually, no, I'm probably going to close the comments. I'll tell you why. Because people will see this video, they'll see that, oh yeah, my Rega, and I'm gonna write a provocative title for this. I'm gonna say something like, I don't know, my Rega trounced Mr. 45 RPM 20K turntable. I'm gonna write a really provocative title for this video. I'm sorry, but that's what you've got to do as a YouTuber. You've got to sort of write an interesting title. And yeah, I mean, it did, didn't it? It did trounce his turntable. I mean, what else can I say? I've tried to make lots of excuses on his behalf, and maybe they're valid, maybe they're good reasons why, as I said, the test was skewed in favor of my record player. And I also hope that you'll regard me as an honest person, and that, yeah, B really is the Rega. I mean, I'm not just, I suppose that I could have just said that and, take the credit for my Rega and it's really his, but no, come on. No, honestly, that really is, that clip really is the Rega. So, okay, well, I guess that the 7 of you that said it was A will feel sort of vindicated that, yeah, that definitely sounds better. And as for the 37 that favored the Rega, well, I mean, why not? I mean, you've got as much right, because the question in a way is which one sounds better, isn't it, really? And maybe a lot of you just prefer the presentation of the Rega. Maybe the Rega has got a strength to it that his is lacking, but his is really strong in other ways. I don't know. Okay, well, that's all. I'm going to upload this now, and I'll look forward to your comments. Bye for now.